Am I live? Can everyone hear me? Somebody write to me to say, yes, I can hear you and yes, you're there. Got a grade 1. Paul Matthews. Good afternoon, everyone. Everybody there? Everybody there? Yay! Excellent. Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy to have you here. And we've got people from West Kilbride, Glasgow, Daisy, Quinton, Eleanor. I am so excited to be hosting this little half-hour session, especially for the beginner and general musicianship group. So you guys have the most amazing people that are creating little videos for you. There's a lot of warm-ups, there's a lot of instrumental warm-ups, musicianship warm-ups. There are so many people that have also created incredible percussion things and ways that you can improvise on instruments. And what I thought I could do is just actually take you through what that looks like on a computer to make sure that you're all making absolutely the most of all of these things. So if you go on to the my YouTube channel and then make sure that you click onto the playlists, and in there we go to the one called Beginners. Yay! And in the one called Beginners, this is the first thing that comes up, is the tutorial with Bob Cairns. Now, I don't know how many of you are playing the violin, but I hear from my colleague Laura that there are quite a number of you that are playing the violin. And I know what it's like at those beginning stages when you're just getting to understand the instrument and you're just getting to understand. It's kind of complicated. There's all sorts of things that you're doing with your left hand and with your right hand, and many things that can seem very confusing. So there's all sorts of people to help you through those initial stages when things just seem a little bit alien. So I would definitely advise that you go onto this playlist and make sure that you have a look at all of these different things. We've got Bob Cairns here. He's talking to us about pizzicato. If you haven't seen that video, you have to go and watch it because it is so unbelievably helpful, and he is so experienced at speaking to everybody about how to get past those really early, just niggly things that are really difficult to do. So Bob is just brilliant. And then we've also got Rachel Cooper, who is one of the most fun people ever. And then we've also got Ruth Nelson. We've got a bunch of the ambassadors, Didier and William and Gawain and Ariana. They're all playing through the parts that we have had specially arranged for you guys. And I've got the music right in front of me, and we're actually going to look into that a little bit all together. I'm just reading some of your notes and getting distracted. And then I've also put my own Back to Basics video up there, which is absolutely appropriate for anybody who's just starting out on their instrument, because we're just going through all of those physical things that we tend to forget when we start playing an instrument, because you get really concentrated and you've got your instrument up close and you're trying to think. Somebody's telling you to put your fingers in certain places and somebody's telling you to put your hands in certain places, and it just can get a little bit overwhelming, so you forget about your whole physicality. So that Back to Basics video is focused on that. We've got ones for double bass, and then we've got ones with Joelle. So double bass is with Alice Kent, and then Joelle is beginner rhythm prep. But you can also go into the instrumental warm-ups. And if you go into the instrumental warm-ups and the musicianship warm-ups, you'll find a lot more things that are really amazing for you guys to play along to. Forget me talking, that's not interesting. So a lot of really great warm-ups for all the different instruments. You've got David Munn on there, who is always so informative and just absolutely brilliant. Now, I just want to also draw your attention to the creative sessions. So the creative sessions and all the musicianship warm-ups, you've got so many things that what they do is take you to the fundamental things of playing. Now, what are they? can you tell me the fundamental things of playing and the fundamental things of music itself? So if we look at what I have here is a violin beginner part. If we look at that, what is it made up of? It's made up of notes, and it's made up of rhythm, and it's made up of lots of different texture. So the fundamental things of musicianship, which percussion and Lucinda on Kudai and all of these things, pizzicato was my favorite exercise. I used to love that too. I'm actually not so good at pizzicato anymore. I don't know why that happened. But what those musicianship sessions get you doing is just tapping into all the things that are really natural to us. So it's natural for us to understand rhythm, and it's natural for us to see where a melody goes and how it rises and falls. All of these things are actually very, they're easy for us to do. So please make sure you spend a bit of time going through all of those warm-ups and those exercises. You've got Patrick King, you've got Elsa Bradley, and also definitely visit the amazing Lucy Drever. Lucy Drever will be taking you deep inside the storytelling of music. Now, a lot of the time, we look at these notes and they look a bit scary and they look a bit technical, and then we're thinking, oh my goodness, we've got our instrument, we've got to do this and this and this and this, and we forget that actually music is telling a story. So for all of the young ones listening, can you just think of the times when you let your imagination just run wild, and your imagination is just going in all sorts of directions? You make up things, you picture different people, you picture different scenarios. So I want my first task to set for all of you today is to listen to these pieces of music. So for the beginners string players, what we've got is the Paganini Caprice 24 arranged by the Ayub sisters, and the Thomas Tallis Fantasia by Vaughan Williams arranged by Natalie Holt, especially for you guys. And what I want you to go is listen to those pieces, and I don't want you to worry about your instrument. And this is something that everybody can do, even if you're not playing an instrument or you're not able to play those beginner parts. You just go and listen to them, you close your eyes, and you just imagine a story. Just imagine what's happening. What scenario can you picture in your mind? And if you're doing that, you are actually going to be in a place in your mind where it's going to be easier to play it, and most importantly, easier to enjoy playing it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just show you the a little bit of the arrangement of the Paganini 24. I'm going to be focused on the upper strings, but the same types of things apply to absolutely everybody. So before we play, what was I saying about warm-ups earlier? Before we play, we always have to make sure your whole body is feeling good. So I want everybody, I don't know if you guys are holding your instruments at the moment, but you can just put them down for a second. And I want everybody to just start loosening everything up. So can you all shake your hands like this? David Munn, he has a really good name for all of this stuff. He's so good with these things, and I can't think what it is. So shake, 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 shake. And then what, you can't see the whole of me. What I want you to do is stretch right up. Rachel's been doing this. I know she calls it some kind of like uncooked spaghetti thing. So yeah, you want to just stretch right up and then relax. Okay. And then let's do the same thing again. Stretch up, 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 and relax. Excellent. Okay, now I want you to do something like you're reaching out into the screen, like you're trying to touch my hands, and I'm trying to touch yours. So you stretch your hands as much as possible, and then relax them. Let's do that again. Stretch your hands as much as possible. Oh, this feels so good. And relax them. Now, I want you to do something that might feel a little bit silly, but is so important. And it's something that I try to do before every single time I pick up my violin. Before every single time. Because routine is so important. Even if you're just tiny, even if you're only 5 years old or 6 years old. If you're playing an instrument or if you're trying to have a connection with music, you want to get into a really healthy routine, something that doesn't take too long, but that just helps you get into the best place before you really start working on something. So this time, what I want you to do is actually feel your feet on the ground. And if you can just close your eyes for a second and just feel your feet on the ground, and can you bend your knees and just kind of, you just like bob up and down a little bit. Might feel a bit funny, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. We're all together, it's fine. You just bob up and down a little bit. And now can you just go from left to right to left to right, so you feel like you're just getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Now for all of the people playing string instruments, this is especially for you, but everybody can join in, because so much of the time, especially if you're a little bit nervous, do any of you get a little bit nervous before something or a little bit anxious before something? If you do, what happens is we start breathing like, we start breathing up here. So we want to breathe down. Okay, to breathe down like that. So we breathe in again and breathe down. So we just feel nice and calm and like we're sinking into the ground. So for those of you who are playing violin and viola, and for those of you who are playing cello and double bass, you can do it appropriate to your position. I want you to swing your arms and then swing them up, and then I want you to bob down into the position you play. So this is the left hand like this. You're amazing virtuoso. Blah, 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 blah. And this is the right hand like this. So this is just, you want to feel almost like you've got balloons under here. They're just sinking down into the weight. Exactly. Great. So if you just do this, should we do it one more time? Let's just sway, 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 and up, and like this. Excellent. Really, really good. I hope all of you guys are following me and I'm not just doing this on my own. I would not be happy about this. Okay, excellent. Right, so you want to do those things before you play every single time. Now keep looking at the warm-up playlist, because there's all sorts of things for all of you. Now, I want to draw your attention to one thing for all of those of you playing that are going to join in on the Paganini. So the Paganini, what I want you to all do is look up who he was, or get your parents to look. You're doing it, excellent, you're with me, great. I want you to look up who Paganini was, because he was the most unbelievable person. Not only was he the most incredible violinist, but the stories of things that he would do and things that he would get up to and all, I mean, he was just a totally wild character. He traveled around, he did unbelievable numbers of concerts. He would get everybody going crazy over his playing. People would cry and they would be shocked. And he was, how can I say it? You just want to picture almost a little bit of a scary kind of character, because he was so unusual and so strange, but totally like wild and amazing guy. So I want you to look him up. So when you're playing this piece and all these amazing variations that the wonderful Ayub sisters have written for you, what they do is they take you into these different worlds. So if you start to read some stories about Paganini, and actually what we're going to be doing with Paganini is capturing some of these stories and creating little postcards for you. We're going to start doing that in a couple of days' time, so that we can actually take you through the stories of Paganini, so that it can all start coming to life. But if you listen to these variations, what you'll hear the sisters have done is that they actually bring them all into completely different sound worlds. So you have one thing doing one thing, then you have the next variation that sounds like something totally different, and you have to try to use your imagination when we are doing that. So what I want to draw your attention to is on the page that's called Your Music. If you go down to the beginner, it's where you can see these files of music, and then we can press play on this, and you have it will show you an A and then give you a click, and then you can actually play your part along to this sound. So I want to see if any of you do have your music up. That's wonderful. And if anybody that doesn't matter at all. Now I'm going to get up my violin. And we want to always make sure that we've tuned, and at the beginning of those tracks there actually is a long A that is playing, which is just brilliant and very helpful, so I want you to tune to that. And I'm just going to demonstrate how you can actually play along to this. That's the A. I'm a little bit sharp. Sorry guys, forgive me. Everything we were saying about the warm-up before. So there's 8 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's just to give you an idea of how you can take this part and play along to this. But I want you to notice certain things about what I'm doing and the way that it's written, which is to pick out totally different violin techniques, and exactly the same with the cellos and the double basses and the violas, picking out different kinds of techniques for every single variation. So at the beginning, we want that really kind of like I don't know if you know the word martelé, but you want a stroke that is like bullets. Bam, 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 bam. So we want lots of energy. And then in variation 1, you want lots and lots of bow. So a few people are asking where you can find the music, and that is all on the website, and this will stay up here, so don't worry if you're not joining in right now. You can watch it after and you can join in. And then when we get to variation 2, you want a tiny little amount of bow. So really, you want, you know, can you hear that? That is the sound of your bow just attacking the string, and you get that really good grip, and then you let go. Now everybody can do that with me. We're going to do it on a down bow, and what I want you to do first, we always do this at the sessions. Can you see that? I'm pushing so hard. Can everybody do that? Okay, now I want you to actually make a crunch. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to wait, and then when I say go, I want you to move the bow on a down bow, but release. Let's just do it on an open string. And go. And go. Excellent. Great. Okay, so I want you to do that quite a lot, because that's what we need for all of this beginning. The whole thing is all about getting that really great attack on the sound. Could you teach us how to tune our violin ourselves? We have thought about that for everyone, and there is a playlist called Tune Your Violin. Somebody's on it. Okay. And regarding the Zoom sessions, there's a few people asking that. We are trying to put together a Zoom session for the beginner orchestra next week, and everybody who has a Zoom session will be emailed, so please don't worry about that. Next week's schedule is not yet out, and it is unfortunately for those who have registered, but practically everything we are doing is made available for everyone. So on YouTube, on the website, on Facebook, am I forgetting anywhere? We are making all of this material available. It will all stay up so you can all continue to join in and participate in 99% of stuff. So please, please don't worry. Okay, so I am going to answer 2 or 3 questions, which I hope I have been sent. Yes, well done, Hannah. Okay, so the first question is about keeping calm when you can't get things right. And that's a really good question, because a lot of the time we get really frustrated if we can't get something right. And we get really impatient and you just feel like you want to leave and do something else. There's so many different ways that you can keep calm, but one of the most important ones is to breathe as much as possible. So what I would advise you do for that, and to work out how to do that best, go into the little playlist that's called Wellbeing, and in there you will find the incredibly poised and incredibly beautiful and wonderful Elena Urioste, and she is going to be taking you through all sorts of ways to breathe and to be more in touch with your breath, and it's so, so helpful in terms of staying calm. So you can go and do that for 5 minutes, and then you can come back to whatever you're trying to do and come back to practicing. I just want to say a little word on practicing for everyone who's starting out their instrument. My mum was absolutely brilliant with this. So what she would do is she would not have us practice for too long. So for all of you who are just starting out and you feel like, oh my goodness, this is so difficult and there's so much to think about, I want you to never practice anything for too long. So you do, for example, let's say we do this every single day for the rest of this week. We do 5 minutes of warm up. So all of the things that I was doing with my hands, with my arms, with all of the stretches, and with feeling like you're really connected to the ground, then all of those things you start your practice session with, they count as part of your practice. So that could be perhaps 5 minutes of doing all of those things. Then after that, you pick a subject. Now, what I would always advise is to start with sound, and the strings that you're playing, they are what ring the most if you don't put down any of your left hand fingers. So we just start with creating a nice, beautiful sound, and you always have to feel like your body is swaying when you're creating sound. You don't want to be just like, we want to feel as free as possible. So you can see I'm moving with it. Exactly, so you want to do that on every single string and make sure that your body just feels nice and free. Now you'll be able to see, actually, if you look at the string, you can see when it's vibrating even more, and you can see when it's creating more sound. And you should also be able to hear it. It doesn't sound too scratchy, it doesn't sound too, I don't know the right word, like squeezed, almost like you're, ooh, like this, but it starts to sound nice and free. So use all the bow. And for all of those starting out, do not fear going to the end of the bow and this end of the bow. Make sure you use as much bow as possible. So for the next couple of minutes, you're focused on just sound. Then what you want to do is start to look at this hand and just make sure that you feel that it's as comfortable as possible. And what I would always advise people to do is this type of movement. So you're focusing on one half of your body, then you're focusing on the other half of your body. Can everybody just do this? So it's like you are, that's it. So it's all this here is just going really excellent. And now can you do the same thing, but can you please drop onto the string? I don't know if you can hear that. Excellent, good. I just want to address one thing. If a part is too difficult for you, just switch to the other parts. There's all sorts of ways you can join in. The Zoom sessions are just a bit of what we're doing. Everything is available online. I can't stress that enough. Oh my goodness. Okay. So with your practice time, so what we're doing is all of the warm-ups, then we're doing the right hand, then we're doing the left hand, then you have one piece of music that you're working on. Let's say that's the Paganini 24th Caprice. Or if you're looking at the beginner part for the Thomas Tallis, the beginner part of the Thomas Tallis is just about creating the most calm, beautiful, just singing, I mean, what you should always do is have the recording on so you can hear it. That's on our Play Along With Us playlist. So you go to the Play Along To Us playlist and you click on the Thomas Tallis and you'll hear that beautiful sound, and then you can just play along with that. It doesn't have to be a stressful experience whatsoever. You just don't worry, you're listening almost more than you're playing. So you have spent 5 minutes warming up, then you've separated out the left and the right hand, and then a couple of minutes on each of these pieces. And that will maybe be about 15 minutes. And I think anybody at any level of playing, at any age, can manage about 15 minutes. And if you do that every single day, you're going to improve and improve and improve. So I think there's one last question about my favorite piece of music. What is my favorite piece of music? You know, like, it just depends what I'm listening to at the time. So right now, probably one of my favorite pieces of music is the Fantasia on the theme of Thomas Tallis by Vaughan Williams. I've been listening to it so much. We did that recording for you, and it's just one of the most beautiful and emotional pieces, and it's just kind of swimming around my mind all the time. So I think that is, for the moment, my favorite piece of music. Right, guys. Okay, so we are going to be seeing you soon. We're going to be uploading loads more content on the beginners playlist. I'm going to be helping you out within the next 2 or 3 weeks with lots more little 5-minute videos that are going to go up there. Yes, I do love the Nimrod by Edward Elgar, of course. And thank you so much, Abby. That's such a kind comment. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. So the Paganini, the Tallis, all beginner, please can you just stay up to date with all of these things. Keep looking at the playlist on the website. You can join in with absolutely everything. There is so much to learn, and that content is going to grow all the time. I'm so thrilled that you're all with us, and we'll be seeing you extremely soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. I'm going to press that.